Hello, this is George.
And Bonnie. Mwah.
And this is Adonai's Sanctuary of Truth Classroom. December 19th. Everybody disappeared for a minute.
Yeah, we're all back.
Okay. And we're going to be going over and over Exodus 20. I don't care what people call it. It's Exodus. Or Shemot. And we're running solo tonight. Professor George was kind of under the weather. We hope he has a good recovery. Mm-hmm. Gets healthy.
Quick recovery, yes.
And enjoys the studying again.
So true.
Okay.
See
you ready?
Week. Yep.
Okay. Adonai's letter is so interesting. And it's more important than interesting. Let's see how important. Look at the part of his letter to us in section 20, or as people call it, chapter 20. Preachers in some Bibles call it, what we're going to go over, the 10 Commandments. My sweetie's going to read Shemot, or Exodus 20, verse 1.
Then God said all these words.
In that writing, Moses lets us understand these words didn't come from him. No. Adonai said all these words. Then Adonai reminds the Hebrews what he did. Adonai isn't some preacher who tells people to do what I do and get rich. He isn't a denomination who says, do what you want, anything you want, just don't forget to come to this certain person and tell what you did, pay X amount of money, and do something, then you're forgiven. No, Adonai states, number 2.
I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the abode of slavery.
I am Adonai, and I did that. By now they should be going, wow.
You think so?
Read 20, verse 3, please.
You are to have no other gods before me.
Now, really, that's a hard one. It's easy to say, but overlooked by most. They stop with just no other gods before me. Yet what has become your God? You call it money, fame, notoriety, glamour, job, attention, sports, prestige. Here's an interesting one. Your car. Now, why would a person with 2 brain cells say your car? Think about it. Your car gets more attention than Adonai does. Why, that attention stuff is what you give in the form of your tithes to an organization. So they tell you what you and only you must believe. That really should be called a brainwashing of a denominational philosophy all the way down to a church doctrine. Now, we state that quite a few times. Already have. Always will. And you thought those 8 or 9 words were so simple. What were they? Have no other God. No. Mm-hmm. I am Adonai.
Have no other gods before me.
Have no other gods before me. So simple. Yet so hard. My sweetie's going to read Matthew 4:10.
Away with you, Satan, Yeshua told him, for the Tanakh says, worship Adonai your God and serve him only.
Worship Adonai your God and serve him only. Who said that? Yeshua told that to Satan. I guess if Yeshua followed that example, maybe we should also.
Probably a good idea.
That's just a thought. Here's an interesting one. My sweetie's going to read 20 verse 4.
You are not to make for yourselves a carved image or any kind of representation of anything in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the waters below the shoreline.
You are not. You are not. That's no carved image, and call it a representation of heaven. What?
That's what it says.
Now you made me lose my spot.
Sorry.
Earth or in the water. That is simple. Yet look how billions upon billions love those carved or plastic images. Some of them even put them on their car dashes. They used to.
Yeah.
In 20 verse 5, doesn't and shouldn't leave any doubt why. I left out then. Then 20 verse 5 doesn't and shouldn't leave any doubt why. Read 20 verse 5, please.
You are not to bow down to them or serve them, for I, Adonai your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sins of the parents through the third and fourth generation of those who hate me.
Why? Adonai states, now this is Adonai stating this, he is a jealous God. If you serve any carved or plastic image, you bow down to them and serve them, or you serve them, then he will punish the children, your children, for the parents' sin to the third and fourth generation. Because when you serve those carved images, you're teaching them, the children, to actually hate me. Kind of hard words. Well, read the last part of that. Verse 5.
To the third and fourth generations of those who hate me.
That's those 5 words. Or, I'm sorry, that's those 3 words. Who hate me. Now, 20 verse 6 says, the opposite of those who worship those carved images, who doesn't worship those carved images. Read 20 verse 6, please.
But displaying grace to the thousandth generation of those who love me and obey my mitzvot.
Who love me and keep my mitzvah. Most books call them commandments, and that's what we stated we were going to go over. Yet when you think about them, aren't they the principle we should be living by? Therefore, pleasing Adonai our God. That's kind of a simple statement.
Seems like it.
But like some of those other ones, it's kind of a hard statement. So what we found out is you shouldn't bow down to any carved or plastic images no more than to bow down to your money, fame, notoriety, glamour, your job, sports, prestige, not even your car. See, then you are showing your children who to love and who you hate. Luke 16:13, please.
No servant can be a slave to two masters. He will either hate the first and love the second, or scorn the second and be loyal to the first. You can't be a slave to both God and money.
In all reality, what she's been going over, those first two are a mouthful, yet how many preachers, priests, and rabbi teachers get deep enough to help, or do they push their denominational philosophy and church doctrine? I said that before, didn't I?
A couple times. It's okay.
They don't want to look bad or admit their way, just may be hypocritical towards what we, or what the Scripture, true Scripture says. Do or will they ever admit what they have been pushing for centuries isn't spiritually at all, or isn't spirituality at all? They should, but they won't. And that's only the first two. Read 20 verse 7, please.
You are not to use lightly the name of Adonai your God, because Adonai will not leave unpunished someone who uses his name lightly.
The complete Jewish Bible states used lightly, while others state words like misuse. One of our Bibles states to use or repeat the name in vain. Then it says that is lightly, frivolously, in false affirmation or profanity. My goodness, they make a lot out of that one word.
That's right.
Now we would have to say they state a lot more than just used lightly. Yet the last part states, Adonai will not leave unpunished anyone who does that. Matthew, or Matthew 5:33 through 35, please.
Do not break your oath and keep your vows to Adonai, but I tell you not to swear at all, not by heaven, because it is God's throne, not by the earth, because it is his footstool, and not by Jerusalem, because it is the city of the great King.
In other words, keep your vows and don't swear. And the good thing would be to remember Shabbat. Now what's the old buzzard talking about now? Remembering Shabbat. Well, my sweetie's going to read 20, 8 and 9, please.
Remember the day Shabbat to set it apart for God. You have 6 days to labor and do all your work.
Shabbat. Set it apart for God. Is that what you read?
Yep.
Work for 6 days, but... Now read 20 verse 10.
But the 7th day is the Shabbat for Adonai your God. On it you are not to do any kind of work, not you, your son, or your daughter, nor your male or female slave, not your livestock, and not your foreigner staying with you inside the gates of your property.
Have you ever thought about that?
It's a lot.
Your 7th day is your Shabbat for Adonai. Mark 2, 27 and 28, please.
Then he said to them, Shabbat was made for mankind, not mankind for Shabbat. So the Son of Man is Lord even of Shabbat.
See, that doesn't contradict itself. It says the Shabbat is made for man, therefore the Son of Man is Lord even of the Shabbat. Or the Sabbath. That's what you want to call it. We must treat him as such. Yet how many call on or even know the Son's true name, Yeshua? How long will you try to fool Adonai? Do they think by using any imitation they will change Adonai to follow what their desires are? It doesn't and has never ever worked that way. Read Revelation. You didn't have that on your line.
Not on
It
there.
says right there.
Yeah, 20 verse.
20 verse 11. Read 20 verse 11.
In Exodus.
Yes. Not Revelation.
Yes. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, the sea and everything in them, but on the seventh day he rested. This is why Adonai blessed the day, Shabbat, and separated it for himself.
Adonai blessed the Shabbat, or the Sabbath. He even separated it for himself. The Shabbat is made for man. But the interesting thing is, the man, not man, for the Shabbat. This next one is an important one for society. Read Shemot 20 verse 12, or Exodus 20 verse 12, please.
Honor your father and mother, so that you may live long in the land which Adonai your God is giving you.
So that you may live a long life in the in the land Adonai is giving you. If you honor your father and your mother, you get this promise from Adonai if you do that. There wasn't a promise like that to the first ones. Yet Adonai says, honor them. Parents should show the example of putting Adonai first. They must teach their youngins about Adonai and Yeshua. Parents aren't always right, yet their children, should speak well of them. Be polite and honor your father and your mother. Yet we must remember, or we need to remember, who must still be first. Nathaniel, or Matthew 10:37, please.
Whosoever loves his father and mother more than he loves me is not worthy of me. Anyone who loves his son or daughter more than he loves me, is not worthy of me.
Nobody is to be loved more than Yeshua. That is not belittling parenthood or children. No, when individuals get the true honor, when they get the true honor order, it's Adonai, then man, Adonai, then parents, Yeshua, then father and mother. We know that's easy to say, but it's so hard to comprehend and to follow. Shemot 20 verse 13, or Exodus 20:13.
Do not murder.
Whoa, that's a short one.
That's a short one. 3
Do
words.
not murder. Now, wait a minute. Some so simple. How could man mess that up? How could they mess that up? How about changing one word? We've heard all of our life. Thou shalt not kill. That's not what it says. It says, do not murder. No, it says, do not murder, not do not kill. You change one word, and then people who would rather hide behind their mama's skirt than to serve this country spout the Bible states, thou shalt not kill. Well, the problem is that leads to two different examples. If you're going to murder somebody, you put out a plan. But that says do not murder or do not kill. That says do not murder, not do not kill. There's two different things there. Mm-hmm. Hide behind their mama's skirts, then serve this country. They spout the Bible, do not kill, yet they're changing one word. Some went to Canada while others watched TV in this country, while others who took the coward's place and fought for this country, yet the person who died didn't get the honor they so deserved. Well, the one who turned their back on this country may have even got a hero's life behind Mama's skirt. I got something else broke there, but I don't think I better say it.
Okay.
To murder isn't going to war, but to kill is to plan an action. Mm. 20 verse 14.
Do not commit adultery.
Another interesting one. You hear preachers talk about that all the time. Do not commit adultery. We know preachers point to Netanyahu or Matthew 5:28. If you look at a woman lustfully, you have already committed adultery in your heart. We heard Jimmy Carter say that. A person must study that. How many of you have really studied that? You must guard yourself from fantasizing sexually so that it will not give you improper sexual feelings that may change your life. So you succumb to the feelings such as adultery, even to the point of homosexuality. It may start as a fantasy that turns into a physical impulse, and it becomes your desire. When that happens, watch out. 2015, Shema 2015.
Do not steal.
Another short one.
Yeah.
I don't have time to get a drink of coffee. Do not steal. Oh, come on. When you pay nothing to get water at any fast food establishment, but when you get your second drink, you don't take water, you take soda. Guess what? That's stealing. Oh, but that huge business isn't and won't notice that one little drink of soda you take. How about when you pay for something and they give you back too much money? Do you believe Adonai is paying you back for something? Or do you bring it to their attention? You notice, I'm sorry, you don't have to be a crook to steal. You may not have to go out looking, but you may have to guard your own integrity. To be an honest person. Do you give Adonai the honor when you do any of those and steal? Do you believe to get honor from Adonai comes by the way of stealing anything? In any form of it? It's such an easy thing to do. Long story about that. When I was on a mission trip, preacher's wife always got the best deals. Just she haggled them till they got tired of it, and they almost gave stuff away. To me, it felt wrong. That's the short version. 20 Shemot 20:16, or Exodus.
Do not give false evidence against your neighbor.
In other words, don't lie, the short version of that one. Don't lie to or about anything. How can anyone keep that one? Oh, it isn't a lie if I just repeat what our preacher stated. Let us put it this way. If your preacher, priest, or rabbi teacher doesn't know or has never studied for the truth in the scripture, it's his ignorance. He ignores it, then it's on his and your part. Now, how can it be your part? If he knows the truth, yet still doesn't use the truth, then it's to his and your damnation. Just because you repeat what the preacher says doesn't take the blame off of you of not studying. If you continue giving false evidence about Yeshua, and you keep giving false evidence about your neighbor, aren't they and you going in the same direction? That's an interesting thing to think about.
Scary.
I guess I should have read this next part before I made that statement.
Oh.
The interesting thing is, people, especially preachers, priests, even those rabbi teachers, give and even promote false evidence about the most important individual who has ever lived, and they cover that up one way or another to brainwash you and their neighbors. People, do not lie. That's what it says, right? Don't lie. People, do not lie about Yeshua. When you don't use his name and you pretend like one of those fake ones is his name, that's more or less lying about the Messiah. No, that wasn't in there, but that was just a little extra credit for you. 20, Shemot 20, verse 17, please.
Do not covet your neighbor's house, Do not covet your neighbor's wife, his male or female slave, his ox, his donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor.
Don't covet anything that someone else has. Not their house, male or female slave, ox, donkey, or anything that belongs to someone else. If they have it and they work for it or they paid for it, guess what? I guess you'll have to work and pay for it. It says don't covet. Don't desire them because somebody else has it. Don't look at a neighbor and go, look what he or she has. I want that person, maybe his wife. All those writings must have been of some concern for the Hebrews. You know, like putting other things like their God before Adonai, the ones they have made up, the ones they were following all that time or a lot of the time in Egypt. Maybe they had carved images that people bowed down to. The misuse of Adonai or his son and their name. Do you remember the Shabbat? The day of rest? Or do you just go through the motions? Do we honor our parents? You hear my son or daughter is a good person. Oh. You hear my son or daughter is a good person, even though they killed or ruined other people's lives by dealing with drugs. The people in the religious service, both preachers and families, who commit adultery is staggering. Is that little stealing justified because it's not a huge one? If nobody gave false evidence, think about this one. If nobody gave false evidence, then the judges could always make the right decision.
Yeah.
They wouldn't go in court and raise their hand and say they're going to tell the truth and then lie. Because they have some sleazy lawyer who will bend the truth and, oh, it's for you. If I can get you off by some technicality, it's okay if you kill. Come on, folks. In his court, or in the church, or synagogue, and there must have been, like today, a lot of coveting going on. So I guess what we're saying is, life goes on. And by the study of Scripture, it hasn't changed all that much, has it? Yeah, like the Hebrews. What should most be doing? My sweetie's going to read Shemot or Exodus 20:18.
All the people experienced the thunder, the lightning, the sound of the shofar, and the mountain smoking. When the people saw it, they trembled, standing at a distance.
Think about it. You're standing in your house, standing outside your wherever you want to worship, church or synagogue or whatever, and you hear that. I wrote, isn't that what we all should be doing? Trembling? Standing at a distance? Because we all should hear that thunder. See the lightning and the sound of the shofar or the trumpet. So in all reality, our mountain should be up in smoke. That's Scary thought. Could our statement, or rather, should our statement be 2019, please?
They said to Moses, "You speak to us and we will listen, but don't let God speak to us or we will die."
How many people would be going, "Oh, preacher, you go talk to him for me. You speak for us." We're scared of God and we're afraid we will die. Then Moses tries to calm them down. 2020, please.
Moses answered the people, "Don't be afraid, because God has come only to test you and to make you fear him, so that you won't commit sins."
Moses says, don't be afraid. They should be afraid. He says, don't be afraid, but can you imagine how scared they were when they actually found out the truth? Maybe that's how scared people should be nowadays. When they hear the truth, it doesn't line up with their falsification of Scripture. Maybe that is. He said, don't be afraid. Maybe they should be afraid. Just like people nowadays should be afraid. The test is so you fear him, and then you won't sin. As most people know, those tests that happened to the Hebrews only lasted a short time. Then they started doing everything all wrong again. Yeah. Not like today.
No.
No.
Oh, no. No.
No, not like then. Today. You got preachers who come out and tell you what's right. As long as you believe like them, you're home free. In other words, if they're told the truth, they don't tell you. It says the people stood at a distance, but Moses went to the thick darkness where Adonai was. What of writing comes next? Read 19 through 25, please.
22.
I'm saying, sorry, 20 through 25.
22 through 25.
22 through 25.
Adonai said to Moses, "Here is what you are to say to the people of Israel. You yourselves have seen that I spoke with you from heaven. You are not to make with me gods of silver, nor are you to make gods of gold for yourself. For me, you need only an altar of earth. On it you will sacrifice your burnt offerings, peace offerings, sheep, goats, and cattle. In every place where I cause my name to be mentioned, I will come to you and bless you. If you do make me an altar of stone, you are not to build it of cut stones, for if you use a tool on it, you profane it."
Okay. For me, make an altar. Read 24 again, please.
I go back by 24. Okay. For me, you need only make an altar of earth.
That's it. For me, make an altar of earth. That's simple. You don't have to go to the extravagance of cutting stone and putting that up for some fashion show to show off to the people. Adonai said, for me, make an altar of earth. Nothing fancy. I never caught that before.
Yep.
Adonai gives them more rules through Moses, even to what kind of stones to build the altar with, if they want to build one with stone, right down to no steps to go up to my altar and why. Read 26.
Likewise, you are not to use steps to go up to my altar, so that you won't be indecently uncovered.
Then you won't be indecently exposed. Some translations state, so your nakedness won't be exposed. I want my honey to read 20:23 one more time. I caught something the other day, and it caught my attention. Read 23.
You are not to make with me gods of silver, nor are you to make gods of gold for yourselves.
Don't make gods of silver for me. And don't make gods of gold for yourself. Did you catch that? Silver for Adonai, yet gold for you. If you do that, let me ask you. If you do that, let me ask you. Who are you putting first? Adonai or yourself? That's all of 12 or 20, isn't it?
Yes, sir, that is.
Of what we call Exodus down here. Now, I got a little statement to make. What was that? Memorial Day?
I don't know. I don't know where you're going.
When we had that down there when I did the prayer.
Probably. No, we weren't here on Memorial Day.
Veterans Day?
Veterans Day.
Was that just a little while ago?
Yes, 1st of November. Or
Okay.
11th of November.
Okay, we had a Veterans Day in our park. And I read something to honor the veteran. And I said a prayer to the veterans. Well, it wasn't to the veterans, it was because of the veterans. See, in our park we have a chaplain. And the park has decided that the chaplain is supposed to be the one to pray for the meal. And our chaplain was there at that service because we were going to have food. And they asked me to pray for the food. And I've talked this over with Brother George, the professor. And we don't feel right stepping on the toes of the chaplain because he's the park chaplain. I'm not. I felt right to pray for the veteran and what we did for the veterans and how we talked about them. But the park has made up their mind that they have a chaplain to pray for the food. And it was his responsibility to pay for the food. And I don't step on anybody's toes. I tell the truth. And I didn't see any reason to belittle our chaplain. That's why when I went up there and told Billy the chaplain was at there, and he should pray for the food after a 2-minute conversation. So they asked the chaplain to come up and pray for the food. Now, Brother George and I feel that's the right way to do it. We shouldn't belittle anybody else, but we tell the truth. And we see no reason to put an extra credit out, put a feather in our cap to pray for something that the park has already designated as a chaplain's job. So anybody in the park who may have noticed that I didn't pray for the food when they asked me to. It was out of respect for our chaplain. You don't have to believe what the chaplain says, but that's his position. He actually is his position of authority. I have no authority in the park. And I know there's preachers say you should be ready in season and out of season. Well, I am when I study. But
That's why you do what we do.
I don't want to step on somebody else's toes for his job and try to belittle him by taking his responsibility. So,
That was an added
that was extra
explanation
credit.
tonight. Yep.
Didn't have any idea what I was going to be saying, but it came out that way. So, next week, we'll get into 21. I don't know if we'll get all the way through 21 or how far we'll get. Because I haven't went ahead and read where we're going to go and start and stop.
Okay.
But today, we talked about what they call the 10 Commandments. Mitzvot in Hebrew. But you can't just believe and go by what anybody else says about it. Don't believe what I say. Study yourself. I hope you got a better picture. I hope you got more questions and more angles to look at. I hope that you love Adonai with all your heart and you turn your life over to Yeshua. Neither imitations will do. God bless.
I was going to say something else, but that